Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Headspace podcast. It is actually episode 44. It's your boy HSR.
Yo, it's your boy Chris Chrome.
And this week, we are, in fact, doing the Prophets of Rage self-titled album. You don't deserve to say it. You don't know who they are or anything.
That's okay. I was actually going to question. I don't understand why artists do this whole self-titled album.
Well, they're a super group, right? And the idea behind it is to be like, I guess, the new leaders of a rageful revolution. They're all relevant figures of, different types of anti-conformity messaging throughout the years, combining we'll get into, before we get into it, SodaStream. We missed it the last couple of weeks. I had to restock. The trees got destroyed and the power came out and all of my SodaStream turned to hard gelatinous offal, so now I've replaced it. Good, refreshing, crisp opening, and I have some Dr. Pete tonight.
Oh, I got Kalah.
It's basically some hybrid between cream soda and Dr. Pepper. Nice. It's nice. It's okay. But, yeah. So, if you don't care about anything in particular, feel free to hit the show more and, let us, you can skip ahead to any particular song or see any other things that you care about below. Also, just out of curiosity, let us know which incarnation of the band members you like the best so far between the Audio Slave, the Rage Against the Machine, and the Prophets of Rage. And just let us know which one is your favorite in the comments. Have you actually heard of any of these things before?
I've heard of Chuck D, obviously. We did Public Enemy and all that. I've heard of Be Real, Cypress Hill, and all of that, so I know that. But in terms of Rise Against the Machine,
Rage Against the Machine.
Rage.
See,
my bad. Rage Against the Machines and what is it? Audio Slave when they
Audio Slave
redid it.
Well, it's not that they redid it. It's that Rage Against the Machine broke. Guys, if I blunder details, forgive me. I actually did do some research before. I got super curious because honestly, I was like, wait. Why did Zach De La Rocha why did they all quit? And so I started reading up a bit, and that part's whatever. That could be like another video series where we look into stuff like why bands break up. But the short version is somewhere around the early 2000 period, Rage Against the Machine disbands, and then they reincarnate with Chris Cornell as Audio Slave, and then that disbands, and then solo projects and this is and that's, and then all the next thing you know, we end up with this Prophets of Rage announcement, creating this super group, which I was kind of excited for. I wasn't sure what to expect. When I heard them covering Rage songs, I thought Be Real was a really cool choice. But hearing Chuck D do some De La Rocha rhymes was very weird. I couldn't get past it. So like hearing the Killing in the Name of and things like that as they were putting stuff out, I wasn't so down for that stuff. Just because Chuck D sounded so... It's not that he's bad. It's just that it's... How do you go... Like, Be Real and Zach De La Rocha, their voices are on the same pitch and everything. They kind of like... My brain can translate that and it makes sense. But Chuck D's like, some of those that were bullshit. And I'm like, what is that? Okay, whatever.
But you know what? I guess that's the splash of, like, difference, Like, everybody's all in sync. And then you've got this, like... you got Chuck D going on doing his thing.
I mean, I get that they're paying homage or piggybacking on past success or however you want to look at it. I didn't like Chuck D on that part. But then, basically, I didn't care much until I heard Unf-ck The World, and that was cool. Because now it's, like, finally unique stuff, like their own stuff, like with Chuck D now in his own place doing his thing.
Right.
I was pretty impressed, and I was excited when I saw that this was coming out, and I was like, you know what? For those of you expecting traditional rap, this is rap. It's got Be Real and Chuck D. I don't care what you say, that's rap. It might not be your most hip-hop of hip-hops, but it's rap.
Yep.
And it's got Rage Against the Machines. They were classified as a rap rock band. On that note, why don't we talk about the title and this amazing cover?
Well, the title itself I got from it was, okay, here we go with some destruction, get some anger out.
It's just the name of the band. It's like self-titled. Because the band is also called Prophets of Rage.
Right, but I still can get something from the title.
Okay.
Like just what they represent and what they're trying to, like, the message they're trying to get across. And I could see the black culture with the fist in the album cover. So like I get Chuck D kind of with what he represents with Public Enemy and how they were always like pushing the whole hip hop culture and all that. And then I don't know, I just kind of looked behind that, and then you got the star with the background. So it wasn't
the
really
star
much.
is kind of Rage Against the Machine-y.
Fair enough. I didn't really follow Rage Against the Machine.
Like
I apologize.
The black and white symbolizes something between the two of it. But you know what? It screams that these guys are here for the revolution. Like, they're here to change stuff. And if you consider that they're the prophets of rage, they're like the guys bringing the message in the spirit of rage or whatever. I don't know. I liked it. I felt like this is going to be politically charged, angry music. And considering the lineup, I guess I was not disappointed by what came after.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I like this cover mostly because from a design perspective, that works as a thumbnail. That's my new measure of success. If it works as a thumbnail and it looks pretty cool, that's a cool album cover.
Nice.
It breaks the norm of artists who have not been putting any title of their name or whatever on the album. So they're there and they put Prophets of in small with Rage in big letters. And so I guess in the thumbnail you would just see the word Rage, which is okay. But
fair enough.
I just why was it self-titled? That's so weird. I've never been a huge fan of self-titled albums.
I don't get it.
But I guess it's like an introduction to who they are, and then subsequent albums will have other names.
Wasn't there an album that dropped last year too?
It was an EP. It had mostly covers and like one, I think, original song.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyway, let's get into this. Let's talk about some Radical Eyes. So here we are with Radical Eyes, and we got heavy Chuck D vocals.
Yeah.
Now, if I were to break down my feelings of the band as a whole right now, you've got Be Real, who just almost always sounds cool. Like, no matter what he does, he sounds cool.
The way he throws his voice and the way he just does his
it
thing,
works.
it's really dope.
But he's really just playing a secondary role on the chorus on this song. Okay, fine. Chuck D's got the verses. My problem with Chuck D on this song and a few others is that he's not that tight. He comes in with all the passion and the rage, and a lot of the message is there, so there's no real issue with the content, but it's almost from a rapping perspective, he tries to get fancy and kind of fails. He's sometimes not on the right rhythms, and it just feels like it's just off. Like, it's not as good as it should be in terms of what I want from a rapper over, like, I want tightness to match it. And I say this because the Rage guys, the Tom Morello and the other two, sorry, I don't know their names, it's insanity. I mean, I'm going to go as far as to say that on almost every song, it's like there's three main presences on every song, and that is the vocalists plus Tom Morello making his entrance at some point or another with some crazy guitar trick or another. I'm going to point out the bass line is ridiculous. The drums are super freaking tight. It's so amazing.
Yep.
But Chuck D comes in with like...
You know, Chuck D has this... I've always felt, even back when we listened to Public Enemy, I felt like he's always had this not prophet, but this speech. Like, he's trying to preach. That's what it is. He's trying to, like, preach. It's more like stating instead of rapping with a rhythm.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, he's on a flow, but it's da-da-da this. We're doing this. This is what I see.
And
like,
then every now and again he tries to get tricky. And
yeah.
I mean, from a lyrical perspective, we got a song here basically kind of how they're just trying to process the information and speak out about the injustice they're seeing. And in response, they're radicalized. And I feel like it kind of pulls into a bit of the energy of Killing in the Name of on the chorus.
I feel there's a double thing, because when you say, like, radicalize fast, it's like radicalize. And I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean... Yeah, I
know,
agree.
Like the society and what they're seeing. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's saying that with our radical eyes, they call us radicalized, right? Yeah. So, get it? That's the pun. I gave this a 3.5. Honestly, I wasn't that impressed with this. I got a little worried at this point on the album. It's not that the band isn't good, but I mean, when we talk about the vocals being hip-hoppy, rappy stuff,
right? I
kind of have a certain degree of expectations of dope flow. And flow is important for me. I'm willing to even accept sometimes subpar lyrics if the flow is on point. And even some of these Yachty songs or whatever impress me. But like this, it's like Chuck D's got the message and it's strong, but I don't know. This didn't hit right. It hit kind of quasi right. I was just wanting more Be Real, and it didn't happen, and so 3.5.
Fair enough. I gave this a 4 on 5. For an introduction to something new to me, I actually really liked it. I liked the heaviness. I liked how it was raw, like really, really raw. Chuck D, I was like, okay, I know Chuck D, so I was like, this is what he does. I'm not gonna say he did great, but I will say he didn't do bad. I can look past the flow, and I'll look at the message as well lyrically, and he's got some pretty tight shit to say and what he's trying to represent.
I know, but from a song perspective, I don't know. Whatever.
You know what? Fair, because you're actually more into this type of genre.
I don't know. I mean,
you get.
Really, it's Chuck D that bugged me.
Okay.
And I couldn't. I'm just saying, from a listenability standpoint, if I saw this live, it would be really hype, and I'd be right there in the pit with the energy, and everything's there. But the music isn't strong enough to get past what Chuck D takes away from me in this. And this isn't just going to be a shit on Chuck D session. He does do good on other songs, but in this one, it was one of those misses I was describing. Anyway.
Fair enough.
So, if you got nothing more,
no,
then we can hopefully try to unfuck the world.
Move your ass with the quickness. You may live on the hit list. No fear.
Yo, there's some lazy rhyming on here. Like, everything has changed and the ball has changed.
No.
Hold
You're
on.
speaking about Chuck D again.
And on the Be Real and like can't say, followed up by and man say. And I was like, both of them on a few points. Just, look, y'all are like late 40s, early 50s type. I don't know how old they are exactly. That era. Vets. Dope vocabularies. I mean, I've heard Be Real drop some insanely prolific verses.
Yeah.
Come on. Better. Anyway, that aside, this is what I'm talking about. So I already liked this song before, but like that intro comes in and it's strong. Like, you're ready for some real stuff to happen. And then that chorus, they're bouncing off each other. It's almost chanty. You can almost picture it again. It's for a live performance.
You know what? I like how they went back and forth though. With Chuck D and Be Real going at it like that. That's okay. Now, that's pleasant.
My one comment on the chorus is I listen to it. I like to listen to them maybe twice in a row sometimes, just while I'm going through it. And by like the end of like 8 minutes in a row, this chorus kind of lost some appeal. But here and there, if I heard this song coming on, it would be great. It charges you right up. Be Real's flow is insane, and it comes in dropping his perspective of the state of the world, right? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of that's what it is. They're dropping perspectives. Chuck D does the same, and it's good. Like Be Real's got this smooth,
tight,
and you're just like, yeah. And Chuck D's is way better than the first song, but still has a couple parts where it's like, bro.
But you know what? I'll have to say it was way better than the first one because I feel like on the first one his vocals were more strong. This one, I feel like the instruments were a bit louder than both of their vocals.
But it's that kind of a song, right? I mean, you got to consider it. It's because it's also about, man, the bass line is really good. Right. And, like, I really like the bass on this album. Most hip-hop has boring bass lines that are often just, like, mids or, like, lower down whatevers. And it's just kind of meh. But this is, like, the bass is a unique experience. The drums are a unique experience. Tom Morello just again finds an opportunity to shine in the solo-y part because he seems to have a solo-y part on every song. And he sounds cool. What did you notice?
Well, I noticed that Tom Morello does have a lot of solos, and I'll mention it again later on, but he never really gets a solo where it's just him.
Yeah, but that's a dead relic of modern music. I think that
I don't know. I mean, somebody that good.
Yeah, but but if you think about it, he's doing like really distorted guitar effects that sound cool with the supporting stuff. I don't know if the screeching guitar sound on its isolation would fit the flow. Like there's a vibe that gets created. You're in the pit, and all of a sudden, it's not the right kind of music to me that stops the song for a guitar solo, right? We're not talking about like 70s rock where everyone's swaying and feeling. Nah, you're in the pit, you're raging, you're like, wow, ready to go. I would love to see this live. I'm gonna say that like 20 times tonight. This song though, still, it's not perfect, right? So this is a great example of what I was hoping this band would sound like, but it's definitely not the best example on this album, and I can thankfully say there are better tracks than this. it's a single. The video comes out and it's got a lot of shocking footage of things with the band playing and they're doing their fist thing, and it's cool. It's a relatively boring video.
It really stands behind the song. It really stands behind the name of the track, Unf-ck The World. Like, they're basically describing how everything's all messed up and people are dying and there's wars.
And they want to stop all of that and unfuck the world. But yeah, I gave this a 4. It's definitely not the best song, but it's good. This one I could put on and feel, and if I'm in the mood for this, there's not exactly a plethora of music that is rap, rock, rage stuff that sounds great. Yeah. So this is good. This hit a spot nicely.
Nice. Well, I'm going to agree with you on that. 4 on 5. It is really tight. This one was more upbeat for me, I feel. Like, there was more of, like, head banging to this song, and there was more of, like, energy to this one than the last one. So, it did its purpose.
All right. Next up is Legalize Me.
Come on, legalize me. Get free.
So, this was a really cool take.
It was, I kind of felt like Rage Against the Machine meets surfer rock music.
Yeah, I can
a little
see
bit.
that.
And then, you know, like, Be Real comes in with that wavy kind of and you're like, all right. And his whole point is, you can smoke in some places, you can't smoke in other places. That's kind of weird. Yep. And then he brings up Toronto and referencing that we're getting it legalized soon. And then all of a sudden, get free, yeah. And you're just like, oh boy, legalize. And it's not bad. It's not that it's bad. It's just so...
It's a little much. I find like it's a little much and a little exaggerated on Chuck D's part, where I'm kind of like...
Giving...
Okay.
Because, like, it's got a certain flow going on. Like, like you're just picturing him about to explode into, like, ultra.
Jesus.
It's fine. I mean, it's a song about legalizing, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, look, you got, like, Be Real's part. I'm really feeling the track. And Chuck D... I don't even know how to approach this.
So far, we have it. You know, this is song 3. Yeah, this is song 3, and
Thankfully,
we have it.
Look, I don't understand his verse. It feels like he was trying to write about weed, but without having ever smoked pot. Like, I really don't know if he has or hasn't, but it sounds like he was trying to sound like a stoner without being one, and it is just so weird.
Off.
Every line is disjointed, and it sounds like he's trying to create these super clever, deep references, but I don't get it. Like, what is it?
The confusion is real,
like,
dude.
On something Kentucky Fried, and you're like, what are you saying, man? Like, does this fit the song? Like, I don't get it. But yo, it had a great vibe. Well, otherwise, if it, Chuck D really throws this off for me. I gave it a 3.5 because of that, because it really is just such a strange verse.
I just found it to be a really weird smoker song. Like, just in terms of,
it does pay homage to Dr. Green Thumb over there.
No, I know, and good ups to that. I just, for some reason, I felt like it was a little heavy to be a smoker song, but I guess that's just me. I guess that's just the type of music I listen to. Like, it didn't feel like mellow and wanting to sesh. It felt like we're again smoking like
one
rage.
Of the lines. Yeah, but that is what they're saying.
Well, right, but I don't really know people who smoke and then rage.
Well, yeah, a lot of people do that just to put it out there. And just to put it out, one of the lines that Be Real says is like, "We're smoking tonight so that we can fight tomorrow." I'm like, by partaking in the activity, you're putting in the battle of legalization, and it is a protest song in an effort to legalize the drug.
Okay, fair.
It's not your like Bone Thugs type song. It's more like your Prophets of Rage type song. I don't know. If Chuck D had come with some coherent stuff that I could fully wrap my head around, I would have liked it more. And maybe the mystery will be unlocked later on. But I don't want to hear it again, or at least the second half, because it's weird. I'm cool with Be Real's part. 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5.
I don't know. Next up, though, we have another single, Living on the 110. So Chuck D disappointed me very much on the last track. He killed it on this one. This was fantastic, and it had a cool video with some strange effects. Like, when I say cool, it was relatively cool. There were facts posted, and the band performing. You actually get to see Be Real rapping for once, and cool. Anyway, go check out the video if you like that stuff. I don't. I'm not a huge fan, but it was one of the more interesting ones. This song is about homelessness. Apparently, there's thousands of people living under the Highway 110 in LA, I think it is, and Tom Morello was saying it's kind of ironic. They have all these poor people while all these Porsches and fancy cars drive just over them, and it kind of creates the, I guess, duplicitous nature of America in a very poetic way. But it's amazing. This song comes in strong, and then they come. Be Real kills it with his verse. The chorus has them back and forth hitting off properly, and it flows musically into like this wavy kind of feel. Describing it, it's really just kind of pointing out. I'm really starting to see the skill behind how the music is made and how they get into that vibe, and it's different, I would say, for me at least. Yeah. And I like how they described this song. This song was really great to me, actually, because I liked how they described what you were saying, like the poetic nature of having like all the Porsches going around, and like Chuck D's verse just vividly goes into like this tent city that exists and being a homeless person, being denied the opportunities. Yeah. And it's a cool kind of look on the other side. And because Be Reals is more like you're driving by in your fancy car and you like don't like what you see there, so you roll up the window and speed away as fast as you can. But you know what? That's also honesty, and I like that, because a lot of people are like that. They don't want to accept what they see. They want to just kind of hide away from it. And the fact that Be Real can express that, I don't know if he is like that. You know what I mean? I think he's just kind of criticizing an observation that they're making. Like, these guys are probably all decent dudes given they're in this band and what they all represent at this point. I mean, this track is hype. I mean, the Tom Morello explodes at the end with some proper and powerful guitar work. It just sounds stellar. Like, it's more on line with like a proper solo, like really prominent. The music almost fades in the background. The chorus is just explosive. I give this a 4.5 on 5. It's not a perfect song, but it's pretty freaking awesome. It's a good single. It serves its role well. It's just not like 5 on 5. It's not an everyday, all the time type amazing song. It's just really strong, really consistently good.
Well, that's insane, because I actually felt that this was a 5 on 5. Just the way they built the story, the way they gave you this image of seeing, and I mean, everybody sees it, right? Like, everybody sees homeless people. Everybody's, we've got it in our society. It happens. And it was really cool. It was really cool. And Tom Morello, right?
That's the guitarist. Right? He's
just amazingly good. Yes. I don't know how or where he goes in his mind, but it is just insane. This song was actually the song that made me kind of just, when I wish it was kind of maybe solo. I kind of wanted to hear what himself, without any background music, kind of like
the guitar.
Yeah.
He's apparently in a folk band by himself, and you can go check that out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I see what you mean, though. He's extremely talented, and he does weird, cool things that you just wouldn't expect.
Yep.
So, yeah. Next up is the Counteroffensive.
Counteroffensive. The prophets of rage.
This is like the DJ cut track with like,
I didn't like it at
this
first.
super ill bass line. That bass line is sexy.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's really cool, and then it just kind of cuts in with like prophets of rage or whatever, and it's not a lot to it. It's a little break. It's 38 seconds.
But it's paying homage to Public.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's got the DJ is in the band, so it's got 2 members of Public Enemy in it, and it's nice. It's got like a good classic feel to it, and a lot of these rock rap bands tend to have a track like this on their album somewhere, and it's a little bit of, it's like a break in the middle of it. I give it a 4.5. I thought it was super well composed, short, well made. I plussed it. I could listen to this, and it would make me happy every time I heard that bass line. It's enthralling. It's pretty freaking awesome.
Fair enough. At first I gave it a 3.5, and I was just like, I didn't really get it. But then I started thinking, and then Holden over here was kind of like, well, think of how Public Enemy did it. And I was like, oh, snap. Then it clicked that they were paying homage back to what, well, at least Chuck D was paying homage back to what he started. And it was cool to kind of go back and see how they mashed it up. with the guitar playing, because I felt like it wasn't full DJ. I feel like the band was also playing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really cool how they mixed that together.
It had like a prominent emphasis on both the band maintaining, but it's almost like the band could have just been looped at that point and etc. But either way, it was cool.
But I gave it a 4 on 5 in the end.
All right, I know that was short, but the song was only 38 seconds, so screw y'all and hail to the chief.
Is this worshiping the devil?
No.
Oh, okay.
I do think it's comparing a certain political people to the devil. I think it's trying
makes more sense.
Point out how, okay, first of all, even before that, you hear this at the beginning.
Right.
And it just made me wish Zach De La Rocha was here, because that just doesn't do any justice to any of the that Zach De La Rocha does. And I just wanted to throw that out there. I noticed it. It really bothered me that it's a irrelevant detail. Yeah, it just kind of seems to be going at the ridiculous nature of our leadership, how fickle they are, how they don't care about people, and really they're like akin to the devil. Seems to be like the point of it. It's really pumped. It's supercharged. Chuck is mostly on point. Has a couple weird lines. Be Real is exceptional. This might be one of the strongest verses on the album for real in terms of crazy flows and really showcasing some talent. I mean, Chuck kind of has that one flow and the couple of tricky stuff he does. That's what I'm saying.
Like, Chuck is very, I feel like he's very concerned more about what he's saying instead of trying to flow it. And Be Real, listen, he's talented. He's got the flow, he's got the speed, he's got the way he does it. But I don't want to discredit Chuck so much on how...
I'm going to say that they're both really great rappers.
Okay.
Except that Chuck is like, honestly, still sounds like he's in the 80s when he raps.
Okay, fair.
Be Real just had a cooler rapping technique, in my opinion, the whole time, so I'm biased. Totally. Chuck D has a great message. Fine. Had he just gone slow and cadenced the whole way through, it would have been okay to digest. But that second line is like, and he ends it short, and it's like, you're not even good at this, like this flowing tricky. Don't try. Like, I wish he hadn't, is all I'm trying to say. It really bothered me. However, his message is just again on point. It's very critical, blah, blah, blah. Band is fantastic. Everybody shows up and delivers. See, this one I was a little bit torn because it's better than a 4. It's got this crazy great energy. It's really pumping. But I also don't think it's like hype enough for a 4.5. So I give it a 4.25 because it's kind of in between there. And that's what happened. That's the grade on this one.
I gave it a 4 on 5.
It's better than that to me.
Fine. I like how it's made. I like the intensity of it. I'm starting to really understand more of where this is going. Again, I don't really listen to this type of music, so I'm just kind of getting a hang of it. But it's cool. It's cool. And Chuck D, well, like we said, you're stuck in the 80s, so.
Well, yeah, I think so. If you disagree, feel free.
I don't disagree.
Like, I'm talking about the internet people. I feel like Chuck D is a powerful leader in the community, and I understand why he's there.
Yeah.
And I get his presence is powerful.
But I think learning a different type of flow or trying to just evolve a little bit would be cool.
Look, if we were to put Chuck D up against a lot of his earlier work, his rapping's pretty similar, and it's anyway. We can talk about that into the ground. I digress. I guess you can take me higher.
They got you trapped and spot your home, 'cause you're a target.
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. Anyway, so they definitely paid some homage to Mr. Ladies Love Cool James, as the first verse of this track, Be Real, basically takes the beginning of the flow to Mama Said Knock You Out, but rewrites the lyrics in a way that makes it a lot doper and hyped up to fit the song. This is literally about drones and how they fly around and they're dangerous and they don't like drones.
Well, it's not that they're dangerous, that they're also like spying on people and they're
potentially.
Listen, I kind
Allegedly.
of just found it a little bit weird that they kind of had to go on a topic that everyone kind of knew was obvious.
Well, I don't think it's that obvious. I think,
I think
most
it's pretty
people.
obvious, dude.
I don't think it's that obvious because most people are technologically ignorant. Go around and ask people if they're following what's going on with stuff like drones. Most people are going to say no. Now, they're sitting in an area where it was just legalized recently that drones can fly overhead. And private companies and the government can now legally fly drones over their heads. So it maybe isn't such a threat in Montreal where it's super illegal to do that. But if all of a sudden anybody could fly over your head while you were doing anything in a park and record data on you, you might be more concerned about a song like this. Just saying. So since you didn't know that was there, it almost brings credence to the importance of making a song like this.
Fair.
So they definitely rip off the Mama Said Knock You Out flow. And in case you didn't catch it in Be Real, that he does like the first verse, Chuck D's second verse, if you really look at how he starts it, it's I'm gonna knock you out, drone's gonna something. It's the same thing. I like that. I thought it was really well executed, actually. I thought it was really impressive. The intro and the outro kind of fade in at the very nice, so it creates almost like a loopable effect on the song. It's super powerful. It's got all the right elements so far, and this is what I was hoping for. The last couple of songs have really, it's like they finally got their groove, and they've managed to prove a certain degree of versatility in the subject matter, right? Like, it's not consistently fuck the system, which is almost maybe what you're expecting at first. They have hit at the government, etc., but really, to take some time to just be like, the government spying on you with drones, that's a change of topic I can appreciate. I don't get that song a lot. It's something I've never, ironically, just to counter what you're saying, I've never really thought about it before until I heard this song. So I really liked it. It's just a 4.5 to me. It's really, really cool.
Nice. Okay, so I thought it was dope. I first was like, this is kind of obvious. Had the discussion. Yeah. But you know what? It was cool how they brought to life that concept. And you're right. People don't know this, and people are not aware of what's really going on with drones. And yeah, I didn't even know they're allowed to whoop right under me.
They can't here. They can there.
Well, I know.
In
I'm just saying
Quebec,
in general,
if you have a drone, there's virtually nowhere you can fly it unless you drive way out of the city to where it's just the cows. Anyway. So yeah, no, it is what it is. You can keep going.
Fair enough. Anyway, beat solid. The flows are on point. Chuck D was better in this one for me. I was like, okay, you're kind of starting to get the hang of this whole heavy.
Oh, but notice he went on the slower tip. He didn't try to do anything super tricky.
Yes, and we said that. You know,
and that's it. When he
slower,
and if he doesn't try to be a trickster in his rhyming, he hits it and it sounds proper.
But you know why? Because I'm bringing it back to the whole preaching thing. When you're preaching, you're talking. You're not.
Oh man,
rapping.
I would say that when you preaching with style, you completely on rhythm, and that's a lot of hip hop. You could just kind of keep it like that. And you can keep the metronome going, and you can even get onto the tricky kind of stuff. But Chuck D can't really deliver that at that kind of cadence and speed. He doesn't have that polished eloquence, so he needs to stick to the I'm gonna come with my flow like this. I'm Chuck D, and I'm not making fun of him, but that's how he kills it. And I appreciate it more when he sticks to the slower stuff.
Fair enough. I give it a 4 on 5.
All right, and given we're talking about it so often, there is strength in numbers. This is gonna sound a little bit mean. But part of what made this song truly perfect, and if there was truly perfect on this album, we have finally found it, is that Chuck D's verse is half the length, and he cut it short, and he didn't drag it on. He didn't do anything tricky. It was beautiful. Amazing song. Like, it blew my mind. I knew I was looking for something on this album that would be the song.
Right.
The one that, if I were to be like, there's a Prophets of Rage song that's going to fuck you up and make you just fall in love with the band, it would be this one. Be Real's flow is ridiculous, and they're coming in with some seriously harsh, proactive rhymes. Like, I mean, the general concept is there is strength in numbers. It's not subtle at all. And they're coming in with a game perspective on how they can do this.
But this is, again, this sounds like, when I was listening to this, I got a flashback to Public Enemy again. Like, they had songs like this where they were promoting, like, rising against the government.
Well, thematically, sure.
Yeah.
But stylistically,
stylistically
to have that
no.
Rage Against the Machine backing and music coming in so strong, to have Be Real really killing it on those beginning verses, to have that back in, like, listen, if you were to in theory get rid of Flava Flav and have Be Real, I might have thought differently of freaking Public Enemy.
Fair enough.
Flava Flav is who he is, but the guy's almost a novelty act in terms of talent. And when you're hearing like Be Real come in, he almost makes Chuck D seem like the weaker rapper, and then Chuck D comes in with the powerful message and the questioning kind of tone, and the chorus, the back and forth is super strong, and it's 3 minutes. It doesn't go too hard. It doesn't try to extend beyond its reach. It comes in and it is fucking perfect. I give this a 5. It is an amazing song.
Jeez. I don't know about amazing. Just, I'm not. God, I don't even know what to say. I don't know how to even go about what I'm feeling about this. The song is great in terms of how it's made and in terms of what it is. I guess just for me, I was just kind of a little over this whole like we can rise against the government and this whole raging thing. Not saying that it's getting old, but just I guess I'm looking for something like another spectrum, another.
Yeah, but consider the relevancy of what they're trying to do. I mean,
I do.
But like really consider it in the current political climate in the U.S. of A. And these are all minorities for the most part coming together and creating this protest anthem.
I do. I guess I just don't really.
So
I'm a little iffy on the whole like. Because it sounds more violent and ragey than it is.
That's the point. But the idea isn't necessarily to encourage violence. Often the message is, if you fight me and try to take what's mine, I will fight back.
Fair.
And that is the general theme. It's don't let the government and the people who... Like, we don't have exactly the same problems that are going on in the States right now. We're not in... I mean, yeah, we have a parallel version, but it's weaker. It's like a phantom version. And you don't... Like, I'm just saying... It's going to come to a point where I think everyone's going to have to pick sides, and this type of a message and what's being said here will become far more relevant. So obviously your natural instinct is going to be to like bounce out to not go into this type of thing. But the whole point of this is to encourage a revolution of sorts. It doesn't necessarily have to be with violence, but if it comes down to it, that may also be the only choice. And what they're saying is, at the end of the day, is there's more of us than there are of them, and they're a strength of numbers.
Fair. I give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Anyway, the revolutionary themes, honestly, if it wasn't on this album, it would just be weird, no? Like, it would almost be like, imagine they just sang about Bugattis on the next song. But,
Fair.
On that note, I censored this next song because Google's ad robots don't seem to like talks about weapons. See, I'm going to say weapons and hope it's okay with that. But this one is Fired a...
It's like that.
Fired a Shot is basically, if you fuck with me, I'll take you out. You know?
Right.
I feel like, considering the ridiculously strong run of songs we've had, and we're saying, like, I've really liked the last 4. This was a little to the cornier side of things, and
I didn't feel it was as strong as the previous one. And it's just
this song is like, we're tough guys, really, and I feel like it's trying to follow up with the theme of like strength of numbers.
Yeah,
and, like
we're taking it
and,
now.
And that
we
like
got
a way
power.
of like, we can take it back, and if you come at me, this is how it is. But man, it just feels punkish in a bad way, not in a good way. It feels juvenile, and this song to me really demonstrates what you were maybe trying to sell in the previous track, which I thought really had its purpose. But here, I don't know. This one, it's not bad. It's slower. It's got a cool vibe to it and stuff. I gave it a 3.5 because it just felt sillier. I mean, Chuck D's ground and pound line really made me feel like whatever. It just didn't have the same proficiency and like excellence, and maybe
I feel like it was repetitive a little bit in terms of lyrics. Maybe not what they're saying, but more like the message behind it. Just following up on the last song too, I was just like, kind of felt a little redundant. just in how they did it?
A little bit, yeah. I'll give it to you. It just thematically, this song didn't really need to be here, and musically, it was okay.
Well, no, actually, hold on. I did have a thought though. I was like, first you're telling everybody that you have strength in numbers, and now you're basically claiming that you're starting something.
No. It's reactionary. Again,
Okay.
it's all reactionary. They don't start things. It's if I have to, I will.
Okay.
If you come at me, this is what's gonna happen. I feel like it was almost unnecessary to state it at this point, given you presented yourselves this way in multiple points throughout this album so far. But fine, you made an entire song about how you can't take what's mine or whatever it is exactly, and I didn't like it as much. I do find it thematically redundant, and musically it wasn't as interesting, so 3.5 on 5.
Fair enough. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
All right, so sorry if that was a little quick. That song just didn't do it for me. And anyway, who owns who? All right, we back on the good shit. This was hype. We got laser sounds from Tom Morello. We got back and forth versing from Chuck D and Be Real. We got crazy good bass lining, excellent drums, energy. We got proper questioning authority stuff, smashing walls like they can't own us.
Well,
See, this is
questioning authority.
No,
I feel
but
like it was like a breakdown or
sorry.
like a divide.
I feel like it's almost like this is fired a shot but done right. Right? Like it's got a
Okay,
certain it's
okay.
almost the same thing.
I see that.
They're trying to own us. Who owns who? Nah, you don't own us, and we're gonna do whatever we can to.
But I don't think it's so like it. Because I felt this was another. The way you felt it was fired a shot. I felt like this was strength in numbers, but better.
Yeah,
a little bit, just
but,
because like
it does.
Like,
It
who
does.
owns who? But I don't think it's directly to the government.
See,
I also think it's like
this
the
is
division.
more like strength in numbers is like as a mass like this. This is more at an individual level. Know your
Yeah.
rights. Protest what you think is important. Do what you got to do. Represent who you are. I think this is like they're linked, but they're not exactly the same, right?
Fair. And I you know they're not the same. They're not the same. I was also had this feeling of how they broke down into like what you were saying with the individual, but it's like a hierarchy, like who really owns who. Like there's this guy at the top, but then there's this guy, but then there's this guy who owns this guy. You know, like they kind of broke down the like the societal hierarchy, and I was like, that was really cool because I got this image like even though like let's say my boss right would be here and I'm here. It's like, do you really own me, or do I still make my own decisions? You know, like at the end of the day.
Then, like even in a more macro sense, the puppets. Anyway, it's definitely a matter of recognizing your place in life, where you're at, and making sure you don't lose what's important to yourself. I give it another 4.5. I think the energy is fantastic. It's another song that I would love to see live, and honestly, most of this album I think would translate really well into a live experience. And anyway, 4.5. It's really great.
Nice. I gave it a 4 on 5. I liked the production. I liked Tom Morello is just blowing it out of the water for me. I want to give credits. I want to give credits to the other dude though.
The
like,
bassist or the drummer? Or the DJ?
The drummer's dope, but I think the bassist is pretty good too.
He's next level.
I like how he does it. I just don't feel like we give him enough credit, to be honest.
It's honestly because the bass lines are a little harder to hear on my like speakers that I were like kind of listening. It's really prominent in headphones, but he fills it right. It's not just guitar chords. It's freaking awesome complementary bass work. It's dope. It's totally worth listening to. I mean, it's like these guys are all musical legends, and even Chuck D. It's really a powerful experience to hear this band. I mean, if you don't like metal rock type stuff, you might not like it. But it's super hard to deny the talent behind this work. So, yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, I guess we can all say everyone will have their hands up.
Maybe.
Hands up, hands up, hands up, come on.
So, I think this one's about the police.
Yep, this is about how they're tired of being like arrested and beaten down, and I get it, right? Cops have been abusing their power and authority in the States. Some people
And
even in Canada, like we've been having some really
places.
up shit happening. But I found it a little, I want to say ironic or hypocritical, just because they're prophets of rage and they're causing, well, not causing, but like they kind of promote like taking over and being like this,
no.
and then it's
They
like
promote standing for your rights and being good people and not like I don't agree.
okay.
This is in line with it's kind of like hail to the chief, criticizing a corrupt government. Here they're saying, and they like you got to consider it still keeps happening like every single time, every single week. It's almost like another police incident has happened, another cop gets let off, and every now and again somebody gets found guilty and there's accountability. But guess what? I mean, there's going to be another one in a couple of weeks if we don't have... Like, it's just they haven't fixed the problem. So, and this is just their take on this subject. And the hands up is really powerful in general. And they kind of like... I don't know. It wasn't my favorite song, don't get me wrong. It was short. It was under 3 minutes. I think it's the shortest full song on the album. Be Real and Chuck D both kill it. I think they came in proper with their verses, but I don't like the chorus. The chorus is just kind of obnoxious.
Yep.
That's my feelings.
Yep.
Tom Morello really destroys it. Like it feels like the song explodes into this thrashy kind of amazing experience. I don't necessarily mean thrash metal. I just mean thrashy as I'm describing it like that.
Yep.
And ultimately, I give it a 4. It's really powerful, but I don't. If it wasn't for the hook, I think if they had a smarter or less repetitive hook, I'd like it more. But I don't find that any part of this album has been that they're encouraging violence at all. They're saying they'll do what they have to do, which is a fair thing to say considering the climate. I'll do what I have to do if it ever comes down to it. But that doesn't mean that you're going to go out there and promote violence. They're the prophets of rage. They're expressing the anger of the people.
Fair.
And this is something the people are angry about.
I don't know. Produced well. Great, amazing. I didn't feel it as much. I actually just gave it a 3.5 on 5. I didn't really... I don't know. At this point, I kind of felt a little bit like I've heard it before. Not that I've heard it before, but that I've heard it before.
No, I know. There's a very similar sound throughout this album.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that.
So, I don't know. I guess I was just, by this point, I was a little just off. So, 3.5 on 5.
That's all right. There's one left. One more track. It is Smashit. Alright, so our album closer seems to be a track that touches on multiple of the album's themes. It brings up like the political stuff, their general dissatisfaction with the status quo, the ideas being put out there, and their desire to smash it. And again, I don't think it's a literal violence. I think it's about intellectualism. I think it's about they represent fighting with ideas because they took the time to write these songs and they're living it out in a very proactive way. Now, maybe they'll be at a protest or a demonstration or a march or something, but really they've chosen to create this album to manifest their emotions and to inspire people to gather together and learn from their... Anyway, so this track kind of just... touches on the wall, politicians, regular old corruption, darkness that we've covered on the album. The rapping's on par with everything. There's no misses or anything. The chorus is okay. I felt like there's little new added here, but it's not also as good as some of the middle tracks. I give it another 4. It is a solid close to this album. It is a good experience. Everybody does their role properly. It's not like I'm hating this one at all. It's just... I'm kind of feeling at this point the way you were feeling, like, all right, this didn't necessarily need to be here. You could have done a little change it up, but they didn't, and we were left with this song as it is, which by itself is a great song. So if I heard it come on randomly, having not heard the album in a while, my feelings towards it will probably be a little different, but it isn't like one of the better. It stood out amongst the albums, so 4 on 5.
Fair enough. Unfortunately, by this point, I was just like, again, this kind of sounds like something I've already heard. It's not bad. It's not a bad song. I like how they kind of took the entire album and brought it into one track and touched upon everything in a global manner. It was really, really cool. I just, okay, got it. All right. But still, like, again, I don't want to take away that it's not a solid closer for whoever enjoys this type of music. I kind of just don't.
Okay.
Anyway, 3.5 on 5.
All right, fair enough. So I guess that's the end of this one. I hope you guys like Prophets of Rage. I certainly enjoyed this album. I give it a 4.15. I think it it's a great I think it's a great debut for these guys. I think it is a lot of playing around with the style and trying to get comfortable. And when it hit, it freaking hit. A couple of songs were lackluster and totally skippable. But it makes me really excited to see what comes next from this group. And I'm certain that the next time we talk about them in a couple of years, it's going to be even better and even more interesting. And hopefully Chuck D either learns how to be tricky or slows the fuck down. Ultimately, I really dug this, and I'd recommend it to anybody.
Fair enough. Well, mine landed at a 3.9. Look, great artists, great talent throughout the entire album, but to be honest, I think Chuck D needs to evolve a little bit and kind of start trying to do something else if he's going to continue rapping and continue presenting himself and everything.
Honestly, he was better on like that Public Enemy tape me and Daemon covered, I feel like, as a rapper than he was in this group.
I was there.
Oh, were you there?
Yeah.
Okay, my bad.
The Sands of Time.
Yeah. Whatever.
Anyway, I don't know. I feel like, but you know what it is? I feel like in terms of Public Enemy had rock influence, not as heavy as this.
Yeah, this was great.
So I think that's what it is. I think for me, Public Enemy with Chuck D is like, okay, this works, yes, but then Chuck D with...
I like this better than Public Enemy. I just think that
Yeah, but you enjoy this type of music.
Yeah, it's because it's really great. And this is an excellent example of it.
Definitely. Anyway, 3.9 on 5.
All right, so that's the end of this episode. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. If you're still with us, feel free to hit show more and keep in touch. Our stuff is in the bottom there.
Don't forget to check us all out on all our platforms.
That's what I just said. Anyway, we
sure
look
they
forward to seeing you next week. We're not sure what we're reviewing, but we'll probably go back to a rap album for all of y'all that feel a little violated from this one.
Sorry.
Anyhow, have a great week, everyone. Oh. There won't be a classic quest this week. My bad. We'll explain later. Peace.